Hello and welcome to another video, this time looking at the complete breakdown of the letter from the producer live, part 43. This will feature spoilers and information for 4.3. Huge thanks to Aluna Minori and the rest of the Final Fantasy XIV subreddit Discord community for going through these notes piece by piece and making it easy and understandable to break down in this video, due to their translation efforts. Yoshida and the team announced that Final Fantasy XIV patch 4.3 will officially be called Under the Moonlight. They're currently entering the final fixes and adjustments for the storyline, and that this story will be a very surprising one indeed. Ahead of time here, let's just say that patch 4.3 is coming out in late May 2018. They said that they're ahead of schedule for mid-May, but as they've decided for the end of May, that's what they're sticking to. Regardless of that fact, the patch development schedule is going on smoothly. Of course, like any of these major patches, we're getting more main scenario quests. Without going into too much detail about that, Yoshida just wanted to share a couple of images from the actual trailer, which will be coming in the next live letter part. The first image here shows Yotsuyu and Hien, and it seems that she's either remembering things, or maybe just pondering about something what's holding that apple. The other image shows a Garlean soldier behind Alpha now, in some sort of castrum setting or maybe somewhere different. Yoshida comments, "Ooh, that Garlean standing behind. Looks like he's going to do something to Alpha now," and that's a direct quote there. Next up, they moved on to side quests, and there's going to be more storyline to do with the Four Lords. They mentioned that in patch 4.2 we had the Biome storyline, and this is a continuation of the one we had last time. They then feature these two screenshots to give you an idea of what's to come. They don't want to give too much away, but that turtle guy, something ominous is happening. Please look forward to it. Next up, they're implementing even further Hildebrand adventures, hopefully a little bit longer than 4.25's, but we live in hope. They're also adding a new Beast Tribe, and with that, new Beast Tribe daily quests. The new Beast Tribe is going to be centered around crafters and gatherers. Previously, the Moogle Tribe quests were only crafters, but now this time around they're going to focus on both crafting and gathering, due to people's responses. And this new Beast Tribe is none other than the Namazu, which a lot of people theorized. They have a nice little cute image of a Namazu there, looking very scary. Yoshida then comments, "That pisses me off. His face really pisses me off. Aw, but I think he's so cute." They also show an image of the Azim Steppe here with a cutscene to do with this new Beast Tribe, where the Namazu seem to be on the Dawn Throne, with Serena there on the throne. They have already worked on a mount for this, but they're not going to show it today. They will show it in the next live letter part. Next up, they wanted to talk about new side quests, in particular more of the Doman Reconstruction series. If you're unfamiliar and you go to Doman Staging Area Town with the Aetheryte, you can actually participate in a few rebuilding Doma quests. Apparently they're going to be adding to that in 4.3. Next, they wanted to talk about instant dungeons, and in particular dungeon, because they're only going to be focusing on one dungeon for 4.3 as opposed to the usual two, and that they are announcing the Swallow's Compass. This is in southern Yangsha, just outside Doma. Now, I actually theorized that this would one day be a dungeon myself. It was kind of obvious, but here it is. They actually show a further image of inside the dungeon, but Yoshida says, "Inside?" ? It's outside, you know. And there's this really cool looking image with mountain ranges, fog, and trees, and this rickety bridge. Looks interesting. It looks to be a well done dungeon, so please look forward to that. And next up, they talk about the new trials. In particular, a normal mode and an extreme mode of this trial. They're completely keeping it a secret this time, and they do not intend to show it on any of the patch notes, or indeed on the trailer itself, to which he mentions that the trailer team questioned him when he said to omit it. Apparently they really want to hype it up as a secret boss, so it could be anything really. The thing they did mention, that this trial in particular does not actually involve the four beasts, and the reason why relates to the story that they're going to include. Next up, they want to talk about the new Alliance raid that's being added in 4.3, Return to Ivlis, the second series. This is known as the Ridorana Lighthouse, and if you've played Final Fantasy XII, then you would know all about the Ridorana Lighthouse and how epic that is. Fortunately, they show a couple of screenshots here, both of the external area, which basically looks identical to Final Fantasy XII, if you'll remember this cutscene with the big lighthouse building placed on a series of waterfalls miles high. The interior shot here showing the cogs and various gears whirring around inside the lighthouse. Matsuno commented that the cost to develop Alliance raids looked quite low. Yoshida countered that they overdid it during the Crystal Tower series, so to counter that, they've amped up the cost for Alliance raid development. Apparently, it was also mentioned that they're thinking of implementing crafting and gathering centered side stories attached to the Alliance raid, which they're going to develop further and talk about in the next live letter part. In terms of Alliance raids, they also have some interesting and controversial news that the new loot system for the Alliance raids will be all greed from here on out. This is to ensure main jobs who want to roll equipment for their sub-jobs will have a chance in getting their sub-job items, and everyone will get a fair chance in rolling for it without someone needing the equipment you wanted for a sub-job. Cue a Reddit shitstorm. The gear designs for this will be shown in the next live letter. Also in 4.3 is the new Deep Dungeon. Now this is incredibly hyped for. The next Deep Dungeon will be called Heaven on High. They have established that since we have a 1 to 60 Palace of the Dead, Heaven on High will be used to level 61 to 70. There's 100 floors in total this time around, and the scenario is adjusted based on that reduction in floors. It is available for solo or party play for up to 4 players as usual. However, floor 31 and higher is designated for high-end challenges for parties of 4, which they want to talk about in the next live letter at some detail. There's a ton of rewards planned for it, but again, they don't want to talk about those individually at this time. They show a couple of screenshots and Yoshida says Jenga time. Further details on this, apparently there will be a thing called Grand Summoning implemented into this. You'll be using your Magitech to do Grand Summoning inside the Deep Dungeon. There'll be large amounts of content in 4.3. Please look forward to it. I'm not really sure what the Grand Summoning thing relates to. If you do know, leave a comment below. I'm just thinking maybe summoning primals or something. It's a bit confusing. I'm sure we'll see more of that information later. Next up, in the live letter, they wanted to talk about the next part of the Forbidden Land of Eureka. It's a different biome, and it is a snow biome called Pagos Expedition. They show another picture here, and it looks absolutely beautiful. They do mention, actually, that this kind of layout is actually something unique and different to this content. But they do confirm that this part of Eureka will actually be coming out in 4.35 and not 4.3. Apparently, it's not just going to be a new area, and there will be lots of new content implemented into this, especially content that links Animos to Pagos, and this will be talked about at a later time. Next up, they wanted to talk about the new Ultimate. Now, if you had predicted that there was going to be a new Ultimate fight in 4.3, you are correct. And it is indeed the Weapons Refrain Ultimate, which is Ultima Weapon Ultimate. There's no further details really on this other than some information, and Yoshida commented, "Will we be going to face Ultimate Weapon directly? Or something will block us beforehand?" I mean, that's what happened in Ultimate Bahamut before. They did, however, mention that Ultimate Bahamut they thought was a little too long of a fight, so they're actually making this version a lot shorter. As ever, there will be new glamour items to show off from here, so look forward to those as well. Next up, they talked very briefly about job adjustments. Apparently all of the major changes are done, but testing and debugging are ongoing right now, but the main focus is on Dark Knight, Samurai and Astrologian to be changed significantly in the next patch. Next, they talked briefly about PvP and that they're going to be adjusting the Feast with new HUD elements, as well as the ability to view other players' buffs and statuses, and that's going to be reflective on people's feedback coming from the official forums. This also includes the daily campaign rotation for Frontline Roulette as well. Next, they wanted to talk about the glamour system and changes they want to implement to it in 4.3. The first thing they want to stress is that, due to popular demand, they are going to implement a system to recover items placed into the glamour dresser that was very much requested, and so they've agreed to do it. The caveat here is that the name of the person who crafted a piece of crafting gear will not be retained when you actually pull this out of the dresser. Next up, they talk about the performance action for Bards. Apparently they have 5 new animations implemented for this and lots of new note sounds, and apparently they've worked themselves to the bone to adjust on the quality based on feedback from players. Yoshida thinks it's overkill, however, and that they shouldn't overdo too much on this, especially on the UI aspects, but you know Square Enix, when they go after something, they go at it hard. Next up, some housing updates and some really interesting stuff, notably the guest books that are being added to the game. This is a function where guests can leave comments on the house they visit. House owners can write a welcome message, and players can leave comments on the house owners and what they think of their house. They can even push a like button. They're also implementing a mannequin login feature to show gear off in your house, which is going to be hotly anticipated. I'm very sure about that. Next up, the duty roulette for raids has been added to, and they're including Alexander raids to it, which will be exciting because a lot of those don't get revisited enough, in my opinion. In regards to crafting and gathering, we're getting a new NPC for new custom deliveries in 4.3. They do mention that the NPC is going to be a top secret and is not a Makote, which is just shocking, honestly. I might just unsub right now. Apparently you can dress that NPC up and they have other plans for it, so that actually sounds quite exciting to see what the next stage of that is. I quite like the custom NPC deliveries. Let me know what you think. And the biggest update, probably in some people's eyes, especially if you cross-realm raid, is cross-world link shells finally being implemented into 4.3. Apparently they're going to be slightly smaller than the usual link shell size, but this does mean that we can finally group up permanently with some of those people. The maximum amount of people allowed in this cross-world link shell will be around 64. After the feature stables down for a bit, they will add to that maximum allowed in the future. Next up, they want to briefly look at the Final Fantasy XIV companion app, and when I say briefly, they spent a good while on this, so I'll skim through it. Essentially, the Final Fantasy XIV companion app is for your phone, and you download this via the App Store or Google Play, and you launch the app, sign in with your account information for your Final Fantasy account, designate a character to use with the application, and then there are various things you can do. There are actually two ways of using it. You can be a free plan, which allows you to do various things, which we'll talk about in a second, and there is a premium plan, which is a monthly sub. So what are the differences? For both free and premium players, you'll be able to chat with people in your FCs and in the game, and also schedule things in the game or activities to do with them. In addition to this, both premium and free players will be able to manage their inventory, organizing their inventories and armory chests how they desire. However, a premium-only feature is to organise your saddlebags and retainer inventories. You can't do that on the free plan. In addition to this, apparently retainer-to-retainer item transfer will be only available on the app, which is not available in the game and will be an exclusive to the premium plan. In further addition to this, they're doubling the size of saddlebags for premium members. So if you do have a premium subscription to this application for your phone, you will actually have double the size of Chocobo saddlebags, which is a little bit interesting, and I'm not sure how well that'll go down. Further things you can do with the premium plan include an additional retainer, meaning that the maximum amount of retainers a single character can have is actually 10 now, which is absolutely ridiculous. But both premium and free players will be able to peruse the market board, and both premium and free players will be able to put up for sale and purchase items from the market board. However, there is a caveat to that as well. There will be new login bonuses, and every day when you log in, free players will get 1 Kupo nut, which is a new form of currency, and premium players will get 2 Kupo nuts. These can be used as a currency to actually enable the transaction from your phone to be able to purchase and sell items on the in-game market board. You can't just spam the application, which I presume is just a limitation. However, you will also be able to buy these things called Moogle coins, which speeds that up. So think mobile games, and yeah, expect a little bit of rage about this. And they also further confirm here on this slide that Moogle coins in particular can be directly exchanged for putting items up for sale and relisting market listings, as well as purchasing items. So it looks to be like a paid service to actually use this, as well as another paid service. So think of that what you will. Apparently there's no release date on this. It's not coming in 4.3 necessarily because they're having troubles with the Android platform. But really, it's up to you whether you use this. There's nothing too game breaking about this. If you're on the fly and you really desperately need to use the market board for whatever reason, then I suppose, you know, you're willing to pay that sort of money. Either way, that's a discussion for another time. All in all, 4.3 is looking to be interesting. There's lots of really curious stuff that just doesn't make immediate sense that will be fleshed out in another live letter part. I'm pretty sure about that. But we shouldn't be too hasty with judgment. Let me know what you think about these changes and 4.3 in general in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Look out for more Final Fantasy XIV content daily, and I'll see you all next time.